If you're calling landlords and not getting no's, your problem isn't a pitch, it's a volume problem. In this video, we're going to be showing you how we source all of our 15 rents and how we're sourcing deals for other people, and you can do it also. Let's jump into it.
So first and foremost, now this is something that you need to drill into your head, because for some reason, a lot of people, they think they can pick up a business, make a couple calls and instant success. You have to understand, A, there's a lot of people doing this as well, and two, there's only a select few amount of landlords that actually want company lets. So if you're just hopping on Gumtree, you're hopping on OpenRent, and maybe one time a week, you're making a couple calls and you get one no, and then you bin it off, how do you ever expect to succeed? That's just dumb.
And another thing as well, guys, before you go into calling landlords, it's very important to understand the sides of the pendulum. Now, you have two sides. You have one side who absolutely loves you. Landlord, they love you, they think you're their saving grace, they're like, please take my properties. Then you have the other side. These people hate you. They think you're a thug, a property thug. That's what I heard one time. A crook, a thief. Now, let's be honest, guys. You don't want to waste your time trying to convince these guys, but more, you want to find these guys. You want to find the guys who actually want to work with you. So find those guys and it's good.
But you're only going to be able to find those guys with volume. It's as simple as that. As Brad said, I mean, now it's different. We'll go into why it's different now. But when we started 2 years ago, I would say 90% of landlords hated us. They thought the industry was bad. They thought it was criminal based. They just hated it all. And they'd be shouting at the phone saying, absolutely not, go get off my line, right? Now, in order to actually find that 10%, you can't be doing the bare minimum when, calling, when doing your cold outreach. So when you're going onto sites like OpenRent, like Gumtree, like Spare Room and all the other ones, you just have to be doing more volume than not only that you think you should be doing, but everyone else that is also calling landlords. It's a simple, numbers game. You have to give yourself the best chance to actually land on the phone book of a landlord that wants to work with you.
And it's important to get your reps in. We always say, film your calls. It's pretty much a baptism of fire. You're gonna be in there, and we say this one thing: do not put the phone down. The landlord has to put the phone down. So that there, it helps us in regards to how we could say questions or ask open-ended questions, which could keep the conversation flowing. 9 times out of 10, you're speaking to a landlord who's gonna give you closed answer responses. So no, yes, monotone responses. So you have to be able to learn that ability, and that only comes from just reps, volume, and just mashing
yourself
work.
in there. And I think what you're going to understand about the volume problem is completely different to what we're actually saying. When we say volume, yes, we do mean call more numbers. But the reason we're saying that is not only you need to get your call reps up. But when I started, I was petrified of picking up this phone. I promise you, I'd sit here just looking at the number, scrolling on the listing, just saying, oh, I'm gonna call him. What am I gonna say? Rehearsing the script. You need to get your call hours up. This is what we say, all of our staff, all of our sales reps, just get on the phone, because whether you like it or not, or whether you've hit jackpot with that landlord, more often than not, you're probably gonna fumble it, you're gonna stutter over your words, and obviously we'll go into that further of how you actually speak to landlords. But without a good enough experience talking on the phone, not only being able to hold a conversation, but ask the right questions and be able to maybe shift their mind to then, want to work with you, you have to be on the phone, not 24/7, but every day. And we say, call at least 30 numbers, because if you're not willing to do that volume, you're not gonna end up getting any landlords.
And you're probably like, well guys, I've been messaging on OpenRent. I ain't been getting no luck, but let me tell you something. What I did and what Charlie was doing and what we get all of our sales reps and team to do is pick a random area. For me, it was Rotherham in Scotland, and I'll spam calling, working on the pitch, because you have to work on your skill. You have to work on how you're gonna get that chance in the final third. I don't want to use football terms, but hey. But what that basically means is that when you get that opportunity, when you call that landlord, the property looks good, the deal looks good, that's where the nerves start coming up. But you gotta remember, okay, we've called 30 landlords up north, 30 landlords to the south, 30 landlords to the west. I'm ready to go.
And again, it's just working on your pitch. Like a lot of people, and again, this was me. I'd have my list of 10 numbers. Maybe I'd find my 10 listings, get ready to call them. If just by not doing enough volume, if all of those 10 landlords said no, I would then close my laptop. I'd finish the day and I'd be like, fuck, is this actually gonna work? Does this business model work? Are landlords ever gonna say yes to me? But you need to increase your chances. Call 30 landlords. Now let's say 2 answer, that you have a good conversation and you're getting somewhere. That confidence boost is where the money's at, because and we'll go into it later, the reason your script sounds so dead is because it's so scripted and it's robotic, and we'll go into that a lot further, but it's purely a numbers game. You need to see that like it from the start, because right now, obviously, when you do get into the game, you build your connections, you have your portfolio landlords, you have your good agents that bring us deals, right? But you're starting from square one. You need to push that, we call it the baptism of fire. Cold call, cold call, cold call, get no's, 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 and you'll get that one yes. Then you're going on for the next 100, but you need to actually do enough volume to be able to increase your chances and get that one conversation with that good landlord.
I'd say where a lot of people are going wrong is that, one, you're not filming your calls, so you have nothing to analyze. Two, you're putting down the phone after the first objection. And three, you're not necessarily aligning yourself with the landlord's best interest. What do I mean by that? When people call and then they go with the whole script, this was the worst one back in the day. We work with the hospitals in the local area. First of all, NHS budget, it ain't stretched for that. But second of all, they've heard it. Everyone's heard it. I work with local hospitals. One time someone called me as a company and they were like, yeah, we work with local hospitals. I was like, okay, cool. Which hospitals do you work with?
Didn't know.
Didn't have a jack diddly squat what was going on. He didn't even know.
That's the big money shot. I'm going to talk about it now because you touched on it. Know your stuff. Like, a lot of people, and again, this is how I started. I'd be told a script, I'd watch a couple of YouTube videos. Oh, this is what I say. How are you able to close a sale or, talk to a landlord who is probably 30, 40, 50 years old and has this experience in property if you can't actually hold a conversation about property? Again, just on Brad's thing, if you do want to go with the approach, oh, we work with X, Y, and Z, have names, have proof, have something to actually back that up. But on a more general thing, and this was the big shift for me, is I stopped picking up the phone and I went into ChatGPT. I did some research into, renters reform bill, all these different property things, what even a mortgage was. And this is important because you need to understand the landlord's issues before actually being able to solve them. Otherwise, you're just another salesman on the phone. They're gonna go, close it down right away, because one thing no one likes being sold to, which is, again, we'll go into it, why your script is so bad. But again, the one thing we would definitely recommend, go back, do your homework, especially now that it's actually relevant, the Renters Reform Bill. If you do not know what that is and how, like Section 21, how that actually affects landlords, then you're not able to actually probably target 70% of a landlord's issues right now, which is that every landlord in London, anywhere, they know what the Renters Reform Bill is. If you're not able to speak about that or use that as a pain point, just forget it. Go do your research, go understand the game, and don't just try wing it.
Yeah, because if you don't know what he's talking about, Renters Reform Bill, all that stuff, you can't even get into this league. Don't even try it. You won't be able to get in, because that guy who called me, I can tell he just bought a course. He was probably just sitting in his bed, thought, I got 10 numbers, let's make it happen. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Called me, and then I was like, brother, I'll be real, work on your pitch. Do you know why? I had to do it because someone did it to me.
I love the enthusiasm.
Yeah, someone did it to me. Someone said to me, yeah, I think you should do a bit more education on your pitch. When I tell you, it ripped me in half.
Yeah.
And I just hung up the phone.
It's almost like when I figured that out myself, right? I just didn't even know what I was talking about. It was like a light bulb moment. And when you break it down, it sounds so dumb. Like, everyone now watching this, think about it. If I was to be in a room full of landlords, could I hold up a conversation? If not, you need to start there. You need to actually understand the game, not just about Airbnb, because it's equally important understanding the actual Airbnb business model as well as understanding a landlord's situation and the general property market, because they could go either way. They could start talking about their problems, and if you don't really have anything to say to that, you might as well hang up the phone. Or if they actually start digging into the business, oh, what's this like? Who's going to be staying in my properties? How's it going to work? You need to be able to rip that off tip of your tongue. There can't be any hesitation. And again, going back to what Brad said, record your calls, because a lot of the time, maybe you're not thinking about it, maybe it's just subconscious. You might be umming, ahhing, hesitating, just sounding like an absolute wally. And again, how do you expect someone to trust you with their asset, with their property, which costs hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if you're genuinely record your call and you think you sound like an idiot? And it's natural. Even now, sometimes I look back on my sales calls, I'm like, that was a little bit dodgy, but it's the game. Again, that is why volume's important, because you can't get stuck up on those little losses. You got to push, because that one win out of 100 landlords will take you to another 100 and another 100, and then you'll just, it's momentum, boys, it's momentum. So now we've talked about the volume, we've talked about what you're doing wrong, how you're not even giving yourself a chance to actually land those deals. Now let's talk about the actual script and how your call sounds. Now, as we said, the worst thing you can do, and I advise you, if you've got a script, crunch that piece of paper up, throw it in the bin, because you do not need it. And that's probably, it sounds a bit weird. It sounds like a bit like, I don't know what the thing is, you know, when you've been told something your whole life and it's not true. Do not have a script, because everyone, and I mean everyone coming onto these calls, and there are a lot of people calling them on Gumtree, Open Rent, Spare Room, they all have this script, and funny enough, they all sound the same. So just looking at that alone, how do you expect to be the outlier, be the one that the landlord's actually going to go with if you were just a generic Jerry? You're doing nothing different. Now, with the actual script, the reason we say don't have a script is because when it really changed, especially for me, because I was nervous on the phones, I'm a naturally chatty guy, I'm a people's person, right? So everyone was saying, but I couldn't for the life of me get my words out. I was stuttering, I was umming and ahhing all over the call, but that's because I was being so robotic to this one script. And the second it would go off it, maybe a landlord asked a question that wasn't on that script, heart is pumping, I'm scared, and I don't know what to do. So the way I want you guys to start coming from this now is come at it as a conversation. Now, what this does, first and foremost, is that it lowers the guard of the landlord. First thing you see a number you don't recognize. Already you're, I don't know whose this is. Pick up, and if it sounds like a sales guy, their ears are already closed, they're waiting for that time just to, whether it's rude or not, hang up. So come at it conversationally, right? And what this does, and this is the major point with UL, who was one of our first mentees, is you are not able to actually level with the landlord, understand not only their pain points, but also what they are looking for if you're not able to get past the first question of why you're calling me. Now, this, like, when we actually, like, obviously we knew this ourselves, but when we saw it live in the flesh with UL was when we just kept telling him on the phone call, keep asking another question, ask why. If they go, oh no, we just don't do company lets, instead of seeing that as a slam door in your face, ask why. Now, what that why will do would actually tell you not only their pain point, but it's leading the conversation on. And again, they might then sort of do a statement that slams the door in the face again. Ask another question, because whether you like it or not, they're gonna hang up that phone regardless. You might as well get something out of it.
Just get some points.
Exactly, whether it's a referral, whether it's some information about how they actually feel that you can take into other calls, or just have a number in your phone, which again is very important. Do not just let dead leads be dead. Always follow up, because some of the landlords we've talked to, they reach out to us the year after or the year after that, because tenancies do change. Like, they're good tenants which they might have felt so secure with and they're paying a good rate, they might leave one day, and then they're going to have a different viewpoint, and maybe they're going to look back in their phone and find you, call you up again, and now you can do some business. But with it, having a conversation, you are actually able to differentiate yourself from everyone else. Instead of just being another sales motherfucker, you are now almost from this advisory position. You're having a conversation with them. You're not putting all this crazy pressure on them, or I need the questions this. You're actually able to, and I promise you, the second this clicks in your calls, you'll see it, because your conversations with the landlords will go from a minute or 2 minutes to then 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. And again, you want to be on call with them, understanding them, finding out all of their issues. You can't do that if you are just selling and off a script, because not only that, but they can tell. Genuinely, you can tell. I don't know if anyone's ever had, whether it's an Indian scammer calling me, or whether it's someone who's got my thing from a telemarketing thing. They are reading off a script, and it is so obvious. You need to move away from that. And obviously, when you become a bit more experienced in sales, or you get a bit more comfortable, that will come naturally. That sort of conversational approach will come naturally, while still allowing you to sell, articulate your words nicely. But the main thing, and this is more if you were having that first call frenzy and you don't really like picking up the phone too much, just drop the act, come at it, and just call them. If they don't say yes, they don't say yes, but I promise you have much better chance. So how I would get landlords to actually say yes to me? Well, first of all, I would, again, scrap that whole script, come at it. And this is how we'll open our calls. We'll be like, again, this is probably like, got the number off Gumtree. Oh, hi, Mr. Landlord, can you hear me? Yep. Okay, cool. I was just looking at your apartment on 2 Abbas Close, ABC Road, Alphabet Road, whatever you want to say, right? I was just wondering if it's still available. First question, they're saying yes. We're incentivizing incentivizing a conversation. Oh, okay, I was just wondering, regarding the furniture, regarding the white goods, ask questions which isn't straight away, is this available for a company let? Ask about the listing, ask about the area. Really drop that guard and get them into the, okay, get the landlord a bit excited, like, oh, I might be able to rent my property out here. Then drop it on them. Now, another thing, and again, when I implemented this into my own little sales thing, I really saw a difference. Do not go with the keyword company lets, Airbnbs. Don't say that off the rip, because as I said, they've had calls from probably 50 other people, right? Maybe. In every single one of those calls, they would have heard Airbnb, company let, corporate let, and it's almost like a trigger word. It's almost like you'll hear it in their voice. They'll just shut down. What I used to say, and it's a very minor tweak, but it did help, and I did see a lot of improvements. I would say, oh, okay, and then obviously this is after my, whole conundrum of questions. I'll then go, okay, cool, well, I'll be looking to actually rent this on behalf of my company. Is that all right with you? Obviously, that is a deciding question, but changing it from corporate let, company let, Airbnb, that is to then on behalf of my company. And again, because what we then added into it is like, oh, I'm the director of the company, giving yourself authority. I want to rent it on behalf of my company. Very different to, oh, I want to put this on Airbnb, which they may already have a guard up. They've had their horror stories, they've had their bad experiences, and they're going to say an instant no. Again, guys, we do not sell and close deals on the first call. It's just the introductory. Get your foot in the door. Don't make them slam the door in your face because you said Airbnb and corporate let and you put yourself in the same category as everyone else. That's very important.
So moving on to your mindset. Now, I always say, guys, you are going into the baptism of fire. And I'll keep it honest. It's not going to be easy. You're probably going to be like, this guy's going to chew my neck off. And that's exactly what happened to me. When I called, especially London landlords, they're rough.
They're ruthless.
One told me to fuck off. One told me that, wait, there's a company there. You must be joking. Put the phone down.
Yeah.
So the mindset that you have to have, you literally have to go in, and I kid you not, this is the mindset you got to have. You have to walk in like you're the dog's bollocks. And you have to genuinely go in and say, yes, I want to rent this for my company. The landlord's gonna give you every excuse under the sun, like this is madness. Or they might respect it and see you and be like, okay, this guy, this girl, they have a little bit of cowardice. They can
have some charisma to it.
They can play a little bit of football. So it's one of those ones you have to have the mindset of, I'm going in there and I'm coming out with something. And I always say, ask questions about the listing. One thing I always used to do, I'd see a property and I'll start asking questions about the bathroom. And I'll say, okay, what sort of tiles is that? And I was thinking, I was like, oh, and then I'd get them to explain. Be careful though with that one, because you might find a landlord who just loves talking about the property.
Yeah, and then you're, moving off from the main objective.
But what I would say is, you have to have that mindset of, listen, I'm ready to go. 1.8 turbo, let's do this. So you have to focus on making sure that, listen, I am getting this company let. And if you don't get the company let, it's always
you don't get it. And that's the game. But another thing with mindset, and it's about literally walking in like you're the dog's bollocks. Have that confidence, because if I'm selling something and I don't sound confident in what it is, how it works, and whether it's good, how am I going to be able to convince someone else? So whether you're just new to this, whether you've been doing this for 2 years, come in with a fresh mindset of, you know what you're talking about, and what you're trying to provide is an incredible solution for landlords, and genuinely believe it. If you don't believe that, I'm gonna need you to close this video, keep it on the tablet so you can keep watching it, go do some research, because
you can't sell what you don't believe.
You can't sell what you don't believe. And now it's never been easier, guys. With the Renters Reform Bill, we are providing landlords for the first time ever with more security than as if they were to go with a standard AST tenant, which again, and for me as well, because I kept getting no's, horror story this, oh, no one's gonna say yes to that at the start. Hey, because I wasn't doing enough volume to actually get some yeses, but that starts putting self-doubt in my own business, which I'm trying to pursue. So how are all these no's? And this is obviously just because I didn't actually understand the game and didn't understand how much of a solution we could provide to landlords. I started having self-doubt in the business. I probably dropped off some calls, started calling less because I didn't have that motivation. But guys, really believe it. And I need you to really understand that you need to believe what you're selling, and you need to know it to a point where you can actually explain that to the landlord. So cool, guys. Obviously, we went into it in a little bit of depth here. If you do want to see maybe even some live cold calling, let us know, because we're more than happy to do that. Or if you've got any further questions about landlords, how to find numbers, maybe a few objections that you've got stuck on, feel free, comment them down below. We'll definitely answer those. And who knows, we'll probably make a video of us just hitting off some cold calling, showing you how actually possible it is.